All right, so I'm here with Kita. What's up, Kita?
キラ様です。
Okay. What were you first, a wrestler or an animator?
Uh, oh, that's a tough question. I studied wrestling first. I studied wrestling when I turned 15, but I quit that and then immediately went into university and started studying animation.
Animation.
So I got work as an animator first, but I started studying wrestling first.
Okay, so what got you into wrestling then?
My older sister. My
Older sister.
older sister is also a wrestler in Australia, and she was like, we need referees, so just come here. It's not difficult. It won't hurt. Come to a training session." And then immediately got basically beaten up.
Beaten up. Yeah,
That's the way to put it. It wasn't bad.
you get paid to get beaten up, pretty much.
Basically,
And so why? So you were an animator, and now you're a wrestler. So what made you become an animator then too?
for animation, it was something that I have always done since school. And my aunt married into the family, and she's Japanese. And at the time, her English wasn't great, and she was still studying. So one of the best ways we could communicate is we would put on like Doraemon and Man and just sit and watch it together.
So like anime, pretty much.
Yeah, basically got in it through anime, and then I started drawing. And when I decided to go to university, I was like, okay, what do I want to do? I like animation, so let's try that.
So wow, it's from Australia to Japan, anime to wrestling to animation. Um, and your wrestling career, you started off like later, or did you start it off earlier, like in your age?
I originally started training at 15,
15. Okay.
and then I had to stop because of health issues.
Okay.
6 years later, I then started working at a different company,
Okay.
but I didn't. I wasn't wrestling there, just training.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I moved to Japan, and 6 years later, I was like, man, I really miss wrestling. So I came back, and within like a week, decided, nah, I wanna get back into it. I wanna do training, and I wasn't really expecting how quickly I'd debut in Japan.
And now you're in Tokyo Joshi Pro, right?
Yeah, it I think I underestimate how big Tokyo Joshi is, because I'm like, oh, it's a relatively unknown company, right? I'm not that well known, and then I'll go and I'll see like billboards around, and I'm like, oh damn, that's bigger than I expected.
Yeah, it's like everywhere, plastered all over, like most of the highly dense areas of Tokyo, I guess.
Yeah, even like if I'm traveling out to the suburbs of Tokyo and stuff like that, I'll look up and I'll see a huge like Noah or DDT billboard, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, that's surprising.
Oh, but talking about that, like, do you get any like fan occurrences, like someone saying, "Hey," like spotting you out, or like trying to get a photo, like in a random place or anything here, like any fan interaction?
Not
Not really.
definitely. I think Tokyo Joshi fans are very courteous. As if they see us outside the ring, they won't try to mob us or anything like that. But there have been occurrences where, like me and maybe Chika or some of the other wrestlers are just wandering around outside, and there'll be someone who's like, "Oh, you're wrestlers, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, fair enough." Or I'll see on Twitter being like, "Guys, I saw the wrestlers after the show wandering around Osaka." It's like, "Oh no." Means I have to be on my best behavior, which is kind of hard.
So they're watching, but I guess they're like shy. They don't want to approach or don't want to bother, I guess.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's nice, but I also feel bad if someone sees me out in public. They're like, "I love your stuff. I don't want to bother you." It's like, no, please bother me. Talk to me. It's all good. Um, but yeah, it is nice that I don't have to worry about like stalkers as much or anything like that.
I guess so. I mean, if you're an idol, that's a different story, you know?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of horror stories about idols in Japan having stalkers or having to move multiple times and stuff like that.
I mean, wrestling fans could get crazier, but I feel like they're crazier in the States, honestly, like in Western society, I would
Uh,
say.
when I went back to Australia recently, I went to a show in Australia, and the fans can be insane there.
Yeah, yeah.
It was completely different. Like after the show, I was walking around, I went to see my sister, and I had like 5 or 6 people come up to me and was like, "Hey, can I get a selfie?" And I'm like, "What? What for? What happened?" But yeah, the fans can definitely be a lot higher tension in Australia or America.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And so you've wrestled in Australia, Japan. Where else have you wrestled?
Only Australia and Japan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did a lot of training in Australia, wrestled at two different companies there, and then in Japan at Joshi Pro.
Joshi Pro. And how's it going in Joshi Pro? Do you like it, or what's your like goal, I guess, in Tokyo Joshi Pro?
I absolutely love it there.
Okay.
Everyone is so nice. I always get this question about a goal, and I don't really think I've thought about it.
Okay.
Like everyone's like, it's like, oh, you want to go for the international title next? I'm like,
Ooh, okay.
it really depends who at the time is holding the title or who I want to verse. There are definitely a lot of singles matches I have in mind,
Okay.
like
Like dream matches?
dream matches. Definitely. A lot of the international wrestlers who have come over, like LA Taylor, Max the Impaler, I would really like to verse.
Oh, she's scary, Impaler.
Max the Impaler, I think I would much prefer a handicap match, maybe like the 2024 class, Uta and Chica and me versing Max is like one of my dream matches.
Okay. And Chica and you are like a tag team or a unit or something, or more like a team, right?
Kind of, we're not an official team,
Oh, okay.
but we spend almost all of our time training together, like free time together and stuff like that. I think the problem is we're both, or not just both of us, Uta as well, are very highly competitive.
Oh, okay.
So we don't work well in a team sense, as if like normally in a team it's like, oh, you've got this, go get this. Whereas we both look at each other and go, my turn. Act more like siblings than a team.
So I think you kind of explained earlier Japan and why you wanted to wrestle here. Is there like another reason why you wanted to wrestle in Tokyo or Japan specifically?
There wasn't a specific reason. I really like Japan's style of wrestling, where it's a combination of the strength style of American wrestling, the technical side of Australian wrestling, and a lot of the high flying and speed style of Mexican wrestling.
Yeah.
But it's not like I aimed to become a wrestler in Japan.
Yeah.
It just, things kind of worked out and it happened.
It just came to be, I guess.
Basically, the show where I first went to Tokyo Joshi at Korakuen, I didn't even buy the tickets. One of my friends was like, I have a spare ticket, want to come along? And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And then I saw that they were auditioning and signed up.
Okay. And then you passed, and then the rest is history.
To be honest,
Yeah.
I really wasn't expecting to pass.
Really?
I was like, well, they're a fairly well-known company. They probably have like hundreds of applicants and stuff like that. I'll sign up and they'll go, you don't speak Japanese well enough. You don't have like debut dates in Australia. Probably not the most physical fit person. We've got other applicants, we can go for that. And then they were like, yeah, you can start training on this date. I'm like,
Really quick?
what?
Do you know the reason why they picked you? Like, do you have that information, or
I have no
you
idea.
still don't know?
And honestly, I don't know if they made a mistake or not yet. I'll have to wait a little longer.
Well, it's not a mistake. You're here, so it's like, yeah.
Wow, as of March, it'll be a year wrestling in Tokyo Joshi.
Okay, that's pretty good tenure right there
Yeah.
for a foreigner, right? I guess there's not many foreigners in TJPW.
I am the first house-trained foreign wrestler in Tokyo Joshi history. There have been a lot of other foreign wrestlers who have come over and trained with them or wrestled with them, but I'm the first one to be trained in the house style.
And how was the training?
Tough.
Tough.
Especially the first few trainings, because it had been 6 years since I'd even gotten in a ring, getting back acclimatized to the ropes and to the ring it took maybe 2 months to get back acclimatized to kind of putting my body through the training.
It's hard to be a wrestler. That's why I interview wrestlers a lot and all that, because I just admire the work. It's like there's a lot people don't understand until they actually like see it in person.
One thing I keep having to explain to people is the ropes. Everyone's like, it's like, oh, they're made of rubber, right? They're steel cable. They're braided steel cable. And so every time you're running the ropes, if you're getting faster and faster, you're basically hitting your back and your lower, like upper back and lower back with steel cables. So it takes a while to get the muscles strong enough to deal with that.
Yeah, it's like getting whipped with a rope, kind of, in a way, right?
Yeah, and like as well as like everyone's like the ring. It's like, oh, the ring's bouncy, right? It's not that bad. There's like solid wooden beams. There's steel beams and wooden beams, and then the canvas over top. So if you're not burning yourself on the canvas, you're hitting into the wooden beams, and if you're further outside of the ring, you're hitting yourself with the steel beams.
Yeah, especially the Japanese rings. Those are pretty hard. Yeah, I've heard.
The funniest thing is when my sister came over here to wrestle with Ice Ribbon Tokyo Joshi, she was like, why do you guys have these rings? And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, in Australia, they have specially built rings to like basically make it so it's not as hard on your body. And Japan, for some reason, keeps this specific style of ring. And she's like, it's like 3 times as hard as the Australian ones.
Yeah. And I've heard in Mexico it's worse too. Yeah.
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 It's funny, the first company I trained at, the ring that we had was so old and was never had any maintenance done. Everyone preferred to train on the concrete outside than to train inside on the ring.
Oh my gosh. That's how bad it was?
Yeah. It was just like, I'd rather fall on the concrete outside, thank you.
No way. No way.
Yeah.
Or like a wrestling mat, like in wrestling school, like amateur wrestling, kind of like that.
Yeah, like the Muay Thai mats and stuff like that. Or just if you go to a gym, like the thin foam mats are easy enough.
That's crazy. So can you speak Japanese pretty well? What do you say?
I can understand okay. My reading is non-existent. I can't read very well.
That's too hard. I'm not gonna lie.
And my speaking's okay. I speak like a second grader, basically.
Okay.
So super easy sentences. I understand a decent amount. But if you ask me to read or write kanji, it's impossible.
No, that's just impossible.
Yeah.
I admire the people that can, but nah.
Well, people, especially if they go through school or university and train to read kanji, one of my friends showed me their weekly like training sheet, and it's thousands and thousands of kanji that they have to remember in a week. I'm like, how do you do that?
How do you have time?
Exactly. It's like, nope.
So let's get into more outside of wrestling. So you're an anime fan, of course, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so just like, I guess tell me off your head, what is your favorite ones?
My favorite anime is probably Re:Zero, starting life from zero.
Okay.
Favorite character from Re:Zero is a black-haired assassin named Elsa.
Okay.
Favorite manga is, at the moment, I'm currently reading Spy Family, and I'm trying to read my way through One Piece.
Okay, yeah.
But it's taken about 3 months at this point, and I'm only a few hundred chapters in.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it?
I can't think. There are so many hundreds and
So
hundreds
many.
of anime.
Which one inspires you mostly, I guess? What do you watch before like a match or something, I guess?
Watch before a match.
Or like something to like motivate you the night before a match or after?
I don't know what would I watch like before a match to inspire me. There is one anime that I used to watch just before going to the gym, and it was How Heavy Are the Dumbbells Do You Lift?
Oh, that's a I've seen the title before, but I didn't watch it.
Actually, previous Tokyo Joshi wrestler Reika Saiki did the music video for it. She was one of the people in the music video, and that's one of the first instances I have of like seeing a Tokyo Joshi wrestler was her at an event for the anime.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
That was like 6 years ago, about. But that's one anime I would watch an episode, and at the end of each episode they have like a exercise to add to your workout set. And so the more episodes you'd watch, you'd end up with like a full set of exercises to do.
Wow, so it's like a guide in a way.
Basically, it was really good.
Damn, I wish they had one for like wrestling like that. That would be so funny. Like,
There are a few different anime. There's a Tiger Mask anime. If you're a fan of Minoru Suzuki, he's in several episodes of One Piece. So you can actually find a lot of wrestlers in different anime, or like modeling for different anime.
I did see the Netflix show with Dump Matsumoto. That one, the Japanese one.
Yeah.
Evil. I forgot what's the name.
Queen of Villainous.
Yeah, there we go. That was really good.
There's There's a wrestler at the moment. She's 30, 31, 32 years old who's just started training. And she says that she got into wrestling because of that anime.
Really?
She's
So super recent.
Yeah, she's one of the oldest wrestlers to start debuting for this company, and she's due to debut in March, I think. And I just think stories like that are so inspiring, where someone sees wrestling and they're like, that looks really tough, but I want to see if I can do it.
Yeah. Yaritai.
やりたいね.
So who is that? Do you know?
I don't remember her name, but Actress Girls show at Korakuen in March. She'll be having her debut there. I've followed her on TikTok, and so she's going through her entire like training process and stuff on TikTok.
So she's big on TikTok then, I guess.
I don't know if she's big. She's basically just started her account, but she's going through all her daily practices and stuff like that.
On there. Oh.
Yeah.
That's actually cool. I'm not gonna lie, like that's why I tell people if you want to really do something, you'll do something.
Yeah, and also something I've noticed is if you post it on the internet, it holds yourself accountable. So, for example, like a lot of friends who don't do like animation practice every day, I'm like, if you just post like a daily sketch or something like that, it'll make you do that every day because people go, "Where's your sketch?"
Yeah.
I actually did that for last year. I did a push-up challenge.
Oh.
And if I didn't post the videos every day, I don't know if I would have made it through that challenge.
Okay. So I guess you're one of those people that if you put something out there, you're gonna get it done, most likely, right?
Most likely. It's more of the thing of like, if it only badly reflects on me, or like I'm not that bothered, but if someone's actively looking forward to or excited for something, I feel bad letting them down.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's get back into wrestling talk now again. What would be like the person or the match of your dream, pretty much?
I don't know if I have like that one match that I want to do. There is someone who I looked up to a lot in Australia. She was training under the same company that I trained at, which is Rhea Ripley.
Oh, of course. Of course.
She was one of the ones who I'd always watch wrestling and training, and she was pretty close with my sister and all of her friends, but I never got the chance to train with her properly, and she's like one of like my end goal matches. And I say end goal matches because I'm pretty sure if I versed her in the ring, she would absolutely murder me.
She'll run laps or something around you, whatever.
Absolutely.
I mean, she's one of the top dogs out there. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
She is. What was it, like the PWI women's list?
#1, I think.
Last year, she was #1. And then this year as well, there's like 2 or 3 Australian wrestlers who are in the top 10.
Were you on the list? Or I think you were. No.
Absolutely not
No?
this year.
Oh, maybe next year.
Yeah.
Maybe
It was like wrestling magazine Super do a magazine every year to show all of the Japanese wrestlers. And this year was the first year that I was in it, so I was super excited.
I think I've seen that one. It's the one with the pictures of all the wrestlers in the front.
Yeah.
That one, the men and the women, right?
Yeah, well, it's just every company. So
Oh,
all
it's
of the Japanese companies. And it's really good seeing like, you kind of use it as a guide. If there's companies with wrestlers I've never seen before, I'm like, I want to go to one of these shows. I want to check them out.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many, I'm not gonna lie.
There's even a section specifically for tiger masks. So there's something like 20 or 30 different tiger masks.
That's what people don't know about Japan, that it's not just like anime and stuff, it's more like, it really is like a wrestling place too.
Yeah, there
Japan.
are people who spend their like all of their savings and their entire money on like wrestling masks or wrestling memorabilia and stuff like that. Some fans who go to every single show, every show or every event without fail, and I'm always just extremely grateful. They have 1 or 2 fans who I'll see almost at every show, and I'll be like, how do you have time to make it to all of these? I just feel so grateful for them.
Exactly. Those are the diehard fans.
Yeah, it's nice.
And would you say that wrestling and your other pastime, which is animation, what would you say is the difficulties between the both of those? Like, is there going to be a time where you have to choose one or the other, or what would you say?
The problem with both, not problem, but one of the things that's the most difficult about both of them is they take up a lot of time for practice. So at least for animation, every single day you're spending several hours practicing. For wrestling, you're going to the gym for several hours every single day. And especially like being a mother as well, I don't really have a lot of spare time.
Yeah.
So a lot of the main problem is choosing what areas I want to focus on.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there will be a time where I have to choose one or the other.
Yeah. One is gonna go over the other one. Yeah. At one time.
Yeah. And I think the one thing I'm the most worried about is both of them take a big physical toll on like your hands and your wrists.
Yeah.
So there have been times, especially now where it's freezing, I'll have to go to like a clinic to do rehabilitation, stuff like that, to make sure that I don't have any injuries.
Wow. So it's that intense.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think maybe like 5 and 6 animators have some sort of carpal tunnel or something like that in their wrists. It's
I didn't know that. Yeah.
if you're doing the same repetitive motions every day for a majority of the day, it raises your risk of injury. So kind of the one thing that I say to people who want to do either animation or wrestling or anything else like that is take care of yourselves first. Drink your water, eat your food, do your exercises.
To be honest, like you have to be like a psychopath, honestly, because like you have to actually like love the pain and love what you gotta do to be able to do it.
You have to love what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you love what you're doing, you love the fans, you love everything like that,
Yeah.
the pain makes it worth it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's when you know that that's for you. When you feel that pain, you're like, yeah.
I can't say I'm exactly celebrating feeling the pain, but for example, going to the gym, waking up the next day and like, oh, my shoulders are really sore. I worked shoulders really hard yesterday. Of course it hurts, but there's also a feeling there of like, man, I did work really hard.
Exactly, accomplishment. There
Yeah,
you go.
it's a sense of accomplishment from it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what that was. I was trying to go for that, but I wanted to be more like wow, like shocking, I guess.
I remember when I first started training wrestling, my sister would go to the gym every single day, do full body workouts, and the first time I went to the gym with her, I woke up the next morning and I couldn't get out of bed. My muscles were that sore. I'm like walking down the hallway, basically like hobbling like a penguin, and she's like, I did a good job. Enjoy the pain. Like, what do you mean enjoy the pain?
Wait, so who's your sister, if you don't mind saying to the camera?
My sister is Mickey Fortune. She's a member of a faction called Kings of Ruin in Riot City Wrestling in Australia.
Oh, they're pretty known. Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah.
I think they've done stuff with Tokyo Joshi. They've done a lot of stuff. No?
I don't think so.
No?
A lot of the different members, so in Riot City Wrestling, there's a lot of members who go out to work with different companies. Rhea Ripley and Zarya, her ring name, Zarya, both are now working for WWE. Matt Hayter is doing the indie circuit in America. My sister Mickey came over to Japan and worked for both Ice Ribbon and Tokyo Joshi. So they're branching out, but they're still pretty. They're a pretty big company in South Australia.
Yeah, Australia wrestling's pretty big, so people don't know that either. Like wrestling is pretty big out there too.
I think serious wrestling in Australia is taken very seriously. However, fans are still kind of seen as a little bit like otaku.
Yeah.
So
like nerds, yeah.
yeah, so if you go to the office in the morning, if someone is like, "Oh, you're a fan of wrestling," that's kind of weird. But for people who are wrestlers, it's real serious work, and if you don't take it seriously, you don't get any opportunities in the business.
Yeah, I mean, that goes with everything in life. If you don't take something seriously, it's not going to go anywhere, to be honest.
Yeah.
Also, but yeah, seriously, in wrestling terms, yeah, you have to take it serious.
Yeah.
Because it is a serious, like, thing to do.
Well, especially when I signed up, I was only 15 years old, and it took a while for them to be like, okay, you're not just going to do training for a couple of weeks and then leave. And so as soon as you slowly get past that point, and they're like, okay, you're taking this seriously, we'll start getting you to work shows, you can do more trainings in a week and stuff like that. It's slow, but there's a big thing in Australian wrestling about paying your dues.
Yes.
So you work shows, like, you work every aspect of the show before you can get in the ring.
Yeah, ring crew, all those.
Not just ring crew, you work setting up the ring, you work at the merch desk, you work at the canteen, you do every single one of these jobs and know how it works internally. And at that point, when you start to appreciate every other person working for the company, is when you're allowed to get in the ring.
It's sort of the same in Japan, no? Or is it about a little bit more different?
We're not allowed to work every aspect,
Okay, okay.
but same thing, like you work ring crew, you, something I don't have in Australia is like the Young Lions or like second system.
Oh, like
Where-
Kohai Senpai.
Yeah.
Kohai Senpai thing.
You're there to support your senpai, and when your senpai believe that you are ready, they'll give you more opportunities.
Oh, okay, okay. What else? Is there something else that people don't know about you that you would like people to know? Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything that people don't know that I'd like to know. I think people are honestly surprised at how versatile my interests are. So
Yeah.
like anime, wrestling, I'm a mother, basically just that.
Yeah. I would say so too. Yeah. Like I didn't know that you had kids. I was like, until I read it, I was like, really?
Yeah, I have a son, he's about 4 years old now. So we're just starting to take him to wrestling
So
shows.
just one child, right?
Just one kid, yeah.
Wow. Because you look so young, but you're like the same age as me, right? You're like 26.
28, I think.
Oh, okay. Wow. You look younger than me, I think. I don't know.
Oh, really? I'll take that. That seems fair enough.
Wow.
But yeah, I definitely have crammed a lot of life experience into a very short space of a few years.
And if you don't mind me asking, why? I'm sorry, I'm like a baby. I just want to know.
No, it's so good. The area I grew up in South Australia was not a very, was not a very well off or a very safe area. So, for example, the class I grew up with, before we graduated, there were a few people in the class who didn't make it. And then going through university, you'd hear a few more people who didn't make it. And so growing up in that situation, it was a lot of people just saying it's like, you have to live your life while you still have it. And do as much. If you want to do something, just go out and try it. And so that's kind of something I've lived, the way I think ever since I was a kid is if you want to do something, go for it and try to work for it. And don't get complacent where you are. Keep moving forward.
Yeah. I feel like the bad thing about being not too complacent is to always have like a balance, I guess. Because sometimes you have to be present to feel what you want to feel the moment, you get me?
Yeah.
Not too fast, not too fast.
Yeah, and it's always kind of balancing is like, okay, how much do I sit here and take a photo of or take a video of? How much do I just sit and enjoy the moment?
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of always gauge it by push yourself hard, but don't push yourself too much. So about 75% is the sweet spot.
Okay, 75%.
75%.
Okay. That's a good one. 75% is the new quote. Okay. Let's go to my final questions here then. Kira, is a name, how did you make that name for your wrestling name, right? That's your wrestling name.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that name?
It's a good, easy name that's pretty pronounceable and understandable in a lot of different languages. And in Japanese, so when you have a weird name, like a weird name in Japanese, it's usually called a kira kira name.
Yeah, like star.
So yeah, so kira kira in Japanese means like sparkly and star, and yeah, the symbol that I use most often, the like 4-point star symbol, is a kira kira mark. So I just kind of, that's the name I use.
Okay. I just wanted to know. What's the final message you want to give to your fans or people out there, pretty much, you want to say?
Basically reiterating the points. If there is something you want, work towards it. Push yourself 75%, but take care of yourself as well. Drink water, eat food, exercise, and just do the best you can.
And anything Japanese too, if you want to say like a little phrase or I don't know.
みんな応援してありがとうございます。私もすごい頑張っています。ありがとうございます。
I hope you accomplish all the things that you want in their TJPW career and all that. Hopefully, yeah. Well, not hopefully. Yes, I want you to do it because I want. I'm a positive person, so I want people to always be the best versions of themselves. So I hope you get what you want. and Tokyo Joshi Pro too. Like, yeah.
I hope more people get to see Tokyo Joshi Pro and what it has to offer. And there's a lot of us who are pushing to make it more well known and get its name out there. So thank you very much for everyone who's supporting us from now and in the future.
Yes. Okay, that's a perfect way to end it. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yes.